It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a card game called Spires, in which you are attempting to build the tallest towers in the land, but not taller than the king, because at that point you are going to be penalized. And so the game has you collecting cards, putting them in specific colored sets, and trying to get the highest score possible. Let's take a look at how this works. We'll come on back after that, and I'll tell you if I think it's a good one. So here's what the game looks like, set up and ready to begin for 3 players in this case. There are also some cards I left in the box here that would be for 4 players. We also have our star player marker here, quite hefty. I'm just going to put that aside for now. The idea of the game, what you're attempting to do is build spires and collect victory points. But you don't want to build them too large so that they would overshadow the king's spires, because in that case you're going to start losing prestige, losing victory points. The handy-dandy sheet here tells you that if you have 3 or fewer of the same color, you are going to get positive points for that. So for example, if I have 3 red cards at the end of the game in front of me, I would get 5 points apiece for each of those. That's 15 points. As soon as I go above 3, I'm going to start losing victory points for each. 1 victory point minus 1 victory point for each card. And so that would be if I have, let's say, 6 red cards at the end of the game, that's minus 6 points, all right? And you do that for every color. Highest score at the end is going to be the winner, of course. Besides that, some cards have swords, crowns, or quills, and you are collecting those. Whoever has the most of them is going to get 20, 15, or 10 points respectively. And they look like that. That's a quill right there. And so everyone is going to have in their hand the 3 cards that allow them to pick one of these 3 markets that we have seated with 1 card each. Each player also was dealt 5 cards as their hand, and you're ready to begin. So here's how you acquire these cards. Everyone is going to pick a card that they would like to go for, one of these 3, and the corresponding spire below them. If a single player picks a location, in this case, this player here is the only one who picked 1, they simply get the card, they walk away, they put it in their tableau in front of them on the table, and they are done for the round. If anyone picked a card that someone else picked as well, so these 2 players here both attempting to go for that same one, then they are going to have to contest that card. And the way that works is very simple. You're going to take a look at your hand of 5 cards here, and you are going to pick a card you'd like to use to contest that card. And then we are going to compare those and see who the winner is. So, a couple of things could happen here. If neither card played is on suit, meaning it's the same color as this card, then simply the higher number wins. In this case, the 70 beats the 57, all right? However, if one of the cards is on suit, meaning it's the same color, and so let's go back to our example here. Let's say I played this 40, and this other player played the 70 here. The 70 is larger, but my 40 is on suit. It's red, which means I win it. And when you do win, you get the contested card, of course, but you also get the cards that everyone played, including your own. And so I would take all 3 of these cards and put them in front of me in my tableau and start collecting these. And now I've got 2 reds. I got to be careful I don't get too many more. 1 more is fine. More than that is problematic for me. And that's it. Once that's all done, we're going to replenish these cards out here, and each of these players is going to draw a new one to bring them back up to 5, and we do it again with everyone picking a card, revealing it, taking it if no one contests it, or fighting if someone did in fact contest it. This continues until the deck is completely gone. At the end of the game, you are going to have a few cards left in your hand possibly. You'll get rid of one of those. You will place into your tableau the rest of them, and then you're going to score up, comparing the 3 different symbols, and then gaining or losing points depending on the spires you have in front of you. Besides that, there's a few special cards in the deck that I'm going to give you a peek at. So you have some cards here like this one that can never go into a player's hand, and it'll be worth 10 victory points straight up for whoever wins it. If a player would ever draw this card into their hand when they're replenishing their hand, They simply show it, and they add it to a market, and they draw again. So it's possible for these places to have more than one card, and that would be when that's possible. There's a couple of other special cards. One of them is going to allow you to discard a card from your tableau. There's also one like this that lets you discard 2 cards from your tableau. And then there are a couple of special ones for each suit. You have the Architect cards. They come in the different suits. And this one, for contesting a Spire, if it's on suit, it beats every other number. If it's not on the same suit, so if I'm not fighting a green card, it's worth 0. It will lose. And then besides that, you also have a couple of cards which are wild, like this one, the highest numbers in the game. And they have no suit. If they would be 1 from the table, they have to go into your highest tower currently. So you need to be very careful about acquiring these. Using them in a fight will win as long as the other player or players do not play on suit. Because, well, they'll beat the 73 or the 74, okay? And that's basically it. That should give you an idea of how the whole thing operates. Collect the right cards. Be careful when you're fighting with someone that they're not sticking you with a card that's going to put you over. Maybe attempt to do that back to them. How much do you really want to win the card you are fighting for? That sort of decision is what's going to go into the game. But yeah, that should give you an idea of how the whole thing works. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you a little bit more about the game and how I feel about it. All right, so there you have it. That is Spires. Let's take a look at some talking points here, starting with thematic ties. The theme here neither detracts for me nor really does it. You know, I think it's fine. I think it makes for a very approachable theme with just about anybody, really. It's not high fantasy, so it's not going to be off-putting to people that find that stuff to be silly. It's not heavy sci-fi. It is very simple and straightforward and a clean theme. So I enjoy it, but it's not necessarily exciting. The aesthetics, on the other hand, I think are fantastic. I love the look of the cards. The quality of everything in the game is superb, very high quality cards. And the entire package just has a beautiful, unified look that I really appreciate. You know, 2 thumbs way up on the aesthetics of the game. Replayability, I think, is good. It's pretty good. And I enjoy the feeling of playing with the same people over and over because you start to figure out the way people play. Do they do the double think thing where they know you want that card and they want it, but they'll back off and go somewhere else? Do they assume you'll back off so they go for that card anyway? And so once you've played with the same people more than 2 or 3 times, then those things start to develop a new level, you know, those choices you are making. So I enjoy that, but the game does largely feel the same from play to play. So it will not blossom into a brand new, feeling or a brand new discovery after you've played a few times. It will be what it is, and that's fine. As far as the scalability goes for the game, I do definitely prefer the game at 3 players. I find at 3 there's enough confrontation to make it interesting, but not so much that it bogs down the game for me. The game length is pretty good. I enjoy that it does not feel like it outstays its welcome, which I was afraid of when I saw the size of the deck and how the game progressed, but it actually works out very well. So I'm happy with that as well. I think it's the right length and it has the right amount of involvement for the decisions you are making in the game. The ease of play, which is things like fiddliness, if there's any strange design choices, things like that. I don't find the game to be fiddly. I think it's very straightforward the way you are laying out your cards in front of you. It gives me a feeling of it's like Colorado, if you happen to be familiar with that card game. It's a very similar vibe you are getting from the game. And the only thing I find to be a little bit strange is at the end of the game, you need to then add the cards in your hand to your display, except for 1 card. And that seems a little strange to me, largely because not everyone's going to have the same number of cards, possibly. And I don't know, it just feels like often on that last play where you're adding 3 or 4 cards to your display, you are going to all of a sudden be scoring considerably differently than you were before. So I'm not sure I'm sold on the idea of having your hand of cards join your display at the very end. But again, I'm not sure about that. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, and of course luck. There's certainly a lot of luck here. It is a card game. You are flipping cards from the top of the deck. Your hand is made up randomly. The cards on display are random. But there is a nice amount of tactics as to what you go for, how you do it. It is possible to focus on just a couple of things and get those special 10 and 5-point cards and destroy a couple of colors. Just get a bunch of negative points for that, but make it up with the other things you're doing. Or you can try to be balanced. You can try to have none of them really go over the limit of 3 cards at the expense of sometimes losing, a fight. Like if you get into a fight and just back off of the fight, let your opponent have the card and the one you're giving them. So it's interesting. The tactics are there. It is tactically engaging enough that it's not brain dead, and I enjoy it. Now, again, obviously for a family sort of game, it's not a game that's going to necessarily appeal to someone who adores deep strategies. But for a card game with a nice amount of stuff going on, I do enjoy this one a lot. So if it sounds like I've been wishy-washy on this one, I do not mean to be. I actually enjoyed the game quite a bit. I like the decisions you are taking in it. I like that the rounds are so quick. I like the look of the game a lot. And it gives me the same feeling as games of its ilk, as games of this, collect cards, but not too many. Watch out what you're gathering. Every now and then you can stick an opponent with a card they really don't want, so you can have a little bit of that, take that feeling to it. Very, very fun game. I really, really recommend this one to folks that enjoy this style. And for that, I am going to give Spires a seal of excellence. Really neat stuff. Very much enjoy it. I think if it appeals to you at all in the overview, this is one you are going to really dig. So there you go. That is Spires.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.